For today's headlines, the left is not waiting for permission to be heard, and they have some fierce cabinet picks in mind for Joe Biden, as do I, as well as a plan to help save the planet from climate destruction and the U.S. economy from ruin. Just a small order, but I think the progressives can do it. Organizers from the Sunrise Movement and Justice Democrats began an active campaign yesterday for Biden to create a White House of climate mobilization, as well as to appoint bold progressive leaders to prominent executive branch posts as a way to transform the nation and achieve lasting change after 4 years of destructive environmental policies and regulatory rollbacks by the Trump administration. The coalition of progressive advocacy groups is also circulating a memo on Capitol Hill arguing that bold progressive transformation and transformative policies be in the next Congress. I have a video for you from the Sunrise Movement about who is going to be in the next Congress. I also saw a whole bunch of reporting on the fact that the Democrats aren't going to appoint Bernie and Warren to cabinet posts before or at all, perhaps, so that they don't upset the apple cart before we get to that Georgia election. We'll see. They were trying to drum up trouble. This was like from Yahoo News, a bunch of Yahoos on Yahoo News. Here's the video.
Young people turning out in droves.
We're seeing astronomically high numbers.
Young people delivered this victory for Joe Biden.
They've given us a mandate for action on COVID, the economy, climate change.
Joe Biden has a choice to make. Will he be the leader of the American majority, or will he be Mitch McConnell's vice president? This is Biden's FDR moment. He can't rely on Republicans and lobbyists. He needs a fierce and creative governing team to build back better. Picture this. In 2021, young people all over the country will celebrate as Treasury Secretary Elizabeth Warren enacts Biden's plan to cancel most student loan debt.
That would be awesome.
I believe our best shot to beat back the effects of climate change is to make the investment.
No more corporate bailouts. Warren will send the stimulus straight to working families and invest in high-speed rail to connect big cities and small towns. Indigenous people voted in record numbers and swung Arizona for Joe Biden. What will he do for them?
Congresswoman Deb Haaland.
Deb Haaland. It's a name that you might start hearing a lot.
On the day she's sworn in as the first Native American to lead the Department of Interior, Deb Haaland will end all fracking permits on federal land. Her appointment will mark the beginning of a new era, true Indigenous authority over stolen land. America cannot solve the climate crisis alone. After rejoining the Paris Climate Accords, our new Secretary of State will convene world leaders and make a global New Deal to stop climate change and save American jobs.
As we act, let us not become the evil that we deplore.
Representative Barbara Lee cast the sole vote against giving George W. Bush authority to deploy troops anytime, anywhere. And she is one of the few brave leaders who voted against the invasion of Iraq. As Secretary of State, Lee's foresight and diplomacy will help us end the era of oil wars. But none of this happens unless we demand it. Your vote was an invitation to power. Now it's time to throw your power around. We can unite our nation by solving the crises that affect us all. It's time to see what we can build with the American majority on our side.
Awesome. The dream team. No, I look forward to seeing that. I don't know if they're going to do it, but this is a nice video. You can go find it on YouTube and spread it around so that you can actually work to pressure people. God, there's just so much to do. There's just so much to do. There's a lot to do. We have to, stop a coup. If there is actually a coup happening, let's hit that. The activists, so at the Federal Reserve, they seem to be actually in lockstep with these, with the Sunrise Movement. Did you ever think you would hear a reporter, this person, talk about how the Federal Reserve is in lockstep with the Sunrise Movement. I mean, it is crazy, right? It is. Okay, so why? How? Why am I saying this? Because the Federal Reserve has applied to join the Network for Greening the Financial System, or the NGFS, which is a group that requires participation in the Paris Climate Agreement. Hopefully they haven't tried to get in just so they can then undermine it, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. The Fed's decision is seen by some as a subtle acknowledgement of President-elect Joe Biden's victory. I mean, how about an overt acknowledgement? When can we go from subtle to overt? Anyway, they're acknowledging him, even as President Donald Trump still refuses to concede because everyone is afraid of upsetting the psycho, lest he unleash his full fury on more than just Twitter. The Network for Greening the Financial System aims to bolster it aims to bolster the world's efforts to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement and to, I quote, enhance the role of the financial system to manage risks and to mobilize capital for green and low carbon investments in the broader context of environmentally sustainable development. That is according to its website, which you can go check out. Progressive groups, including Public Citizen, Friends of the Earth, and Bailout Watch, released a report in late September titled Big Oil's $100 billion dollar bender that showed us how well the U.S. government provided a safety net for the flagging fossil fuel industry. So the cat is out of the bag now on how the government gave a safety net to Exxon, but not its own people. The report was a big part of the growing movement to move financial institutions to do their part in the climate fight. We've been covering that. We will continue to cover it. In other news, some of the nation's top legal minds are joining the chorus of voices urging the Biden administration to prioritize bold progressive action immediately after being sworn in. Biden's transition team is being urged to quickly set in motion actions to rebuild and repair from the Trump administration's attacks on people of color and immigrants specifically. The group Lawyers for Civil Rights sent a 6-page letter to the transition team yesterday laying out the issues with police reform, immigration policy overhaul. Those two were named as key areas to prioritize as a part of the efforts to safeguard the civil, social, and economic rights of our constituencies. The legal organization said it is pushing the administration to tackle these items quickly within the first 100 days of the office. So we'll wait to see if there's any response to that. Also important today, Joe Biden has named Ron Klain, who served as the Ebola czar, because we have czars here, because I don't know. Anyway, during the Obama administration, he was the Ebola czar. He has been appointed as Joe Biden's chief of staff. Klain's experience in a global health pandemic and a recession have been cited as among his top qualifications to help Biden in this moment. I personally find it refreshing that someone with any qualifications at all is being appointed in a presidential administration. This has not happened in the last 4 years. I hope that the last 4 years have shown that some of those rabid anti-government libertidiots, that not having people helping out for the collective good is actually not such a great idea, but I digress. Anyway, we should name this whole show I Digress. As I digress. Anyway, among those to congratulate Klain was Elizabeth Warren, who said Klain is a superb choice for chief of staff. He understands the magnitude of the health and economic crisis, and he has the experience to lead the next administration through it. Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also offered congratulations. And Waleed Shahid, the RIMey named communications director for the Progressive Political Action Committee, Justice Democrats, said Klain understands the Democratic Party has moved in a more progressive direction. So, big progressive names supporting Klain. Let's see what happens. Also, the head of the International Health Organization, the Center for Health and Gender Equity, also known as Change, is urging world leaders to refuse to meet with the outgoing Secretary of State Mike Pompeo until he acknowledges President-elect Joe Biden's legitimate victory. The organization's plea to international officials is a response to this guy, Pompeo, saying that there will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. I don't know. It's hard to read into, is he serious about that? Or is he just trying not to make Trump like blow his top and push the button? Change's statement comes as Pompeo prepared to embark Friday on a 7-nation trip to France, Turkey, Georgia, Israel, and the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, the last tour of his tenure. The leaders of all 7 countries have congratulated Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris on their win. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, welcome aboard all the 45,000 viewers and subscribers we have to the ACT.tv's YouTube page. And thank you everyone for watching on Facebook and on Twitch. I'm Julianna Forlano. You can follow me on Twitter.